So it's finally come to Icarus that we have gotten, the thing that everyone's been wanting, which is batteries. But the power system also got completely overhauled. So I'm going to quickly go over batteries, how power grid has changed, and some other factors like that. Now, let's first actually take a look at how the power grid has changed. First off, they've actually done this fantastic where you can actually see the power grid at a distance. If it is actually laying on top of the ground, you get this nice yellow. If you accidentally sink it a little to the ground, some places, sometimes it'll do this, whereas it thinks it's underground even though it's on top. But you can still see these bright yellow dots. As you can see all the way into this cave and stuff like that. Now, starting off, the way the grid works now is a lot of machines no longer draw constant power. So, for instance, if you have an electric smelter, it will only turn on if it has something to melt inside of it. It won't just be on or off. Now, that said, there are a few devices that just stay on. Like the repair bench, these will always draw power. You can walk up to them now and just basically hold E and then turn it on and off. Like for instance, this, technically I could turn this off and on. I don't know why you would, but you can. As you can see, solar panels have also been changed. They went from 5,000 to 6,000 power. Windmills and water wheels have also been altered. When it is raining, water wheels will actually make more power. When it is certain storms that are like windy, the actual windmill will run hotter and thus produce more power. Alternatively, the solar panel will make less during these types of storms. Now, I'm not going to go over all types of storms because anyone who's played Icarus knows there's just a ton of them. Now, here's the downside. While this will not affect the solar or water power, because wind really has no maintenance or no downside, it can now overcharge. So if it's over 100% power, it'll start to short out. Now, what does this mean? It means it'll take a small amount of damage as the storm goes on. It will not, however, destroy the windmill. You'll just have to go do maintenance on it once in a while. Now, that said, this is Icarus. Everything is subject to change. So, this information could change in the future. They might get rid of it. They might add a talent. Whatever, Now, that said, if you have a device that needs constant power, like these electric creature deterrents, don't actually put these on the same network as everyone else. It's if you have a brownout, which is something when you're producing less power than you're using, they can switch off. And it's no fun to think you're inside of a safe zone and suddenly see 3 Dracs standing behind you. Now, as such, just, give them their own small dedicated power grid. They only take 1 windmill to do, so just snap them straight to a windmill. That said, let's look at actually how you can now check out the different mechanics of this. Now I've already got this little setup. Now, let's look at some of the new stuff. First off, we have the basic battery rack. As you can see, it stores 1,000,000 power and uses 1,500 a second. The advanced battery rack holds 6,000,000 and uses 10,000 a second. Now, this means basically at a maximum capacity, it'll run about 10 minutes. Now, if your base is running it off of composites of water, wind, and solar panels, it's probably going to recharge. If you're using biofuel and you're using this as a backup, you might eventually run out if you aren't paying attention. But for the most part, if you're using a hybrid system, you're really probably not going to run out of power. Now, as you notice, these two have a small fill icon next to them, just like, anything that fills up in this game. This means that this battery, I've already charged it. It still holds its charge. That's great to know because sometimes, Maybe you're moving your base and you're a little nervous that you're going to have no power when you arrive. Well, now you know that if you're moving a base and it's completely powered by solar energy, for instance, you'll still have lights in the middle of the night on that first night when you arrive. So you don't have to panic too much on that. We can come over here to the tech tree. As you can see, they're all underneath the electricity tool. The basic cost of these, as you can see, is 4 electronics, 15 copper wire, 10 refined wood, 6 platinum sheets, and 2 titanium for your basic battery pack. Now, your advanced battery pack, of course, costs more. It's going to cost more titanium, more electronics, and composites. So it is going to cost significantly more investment. But if you're building a long-term base that's going to use something like this, you're probably not going to have too much of an issue with it. Now, we've also got, thank the devs for throwing this in, we have the flow meter. This is actually going to tell you how much power you're using. You're not going to have to rough guess it or keep a pen and paper anymore down. Simply put, you grab your flow meter, you just put it to a wall, and you plug it in. As you can see, my 2 windmills is supplying 3,500, 150 demand, 0 storage. That demand is coming from this one light bulb. Now, if I was to, however, let's say plug in these 2, you'll see it switch to idle. It is not actually drawing power, it is just setting it to idle mode. You can see that it is not actually drawing power. If I throw something in here, however, you can see now it is switched up to 2,500. It is in real time switched over. Now we're still making the demand. If I were to throw this in, now you see here, energy shortage. It is now slow crafting. So it'll still stay on. It'll just create this brownout. You'll also notice sometimes if the brownout goes down below a certain point, these lights will begin like dimming, but you're probably not going to notice too much in a small building like this. That said, this is where batteries come in. If I am to hook up the small battery, which you can see it is legit very small. It is not huge at all. Now, it does nothing for this right now because, see, we're still not generating extra. Now, if I turn this off, however, as you can see, I just hit the hold E. It is now generating and storing power. You can actually see over here that it's now storing 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. Now, remember how I said that this only has 1,500 output? That's also the input. So if it takes 10 minutes to discharge at full capacity, it will take 10 minutes to recharge at full capacity. Now, let's look at the large rack, which actually is pretty big, all things considered. We can see that once I've hooked this up, that capacity has jumped, but it is showing you that the total. Now, if I switch this on, you can see there's no longer that delay, and we are now losing power. Now, that is where, you know, your bulk, it's kind of like solar panels have kind of become your bulk charging is the way to look at it. So the solar panel itself generates 6,000. These generate 1,750. So if you think of windmills as maintenance, just keeping, you know, like half the, you know, power bill paid kind of deal, and solar panels bulk filling during the day, not to mention a lot of players just go to sleep at night. As such, you see now, I have got way more supply than I do have demand. Sure, during the night, I'll start to lose some, but I have the batteries now. So, as such, I can rely more on stuff like solar power or wind without worrying about everything going downhill right as I sit there and lose power. Now, this is the basics of what has gone on. I hope this helped. I hope it gives you a little idea of how batteries and the new power system works. And with that, I hope y'all have a great week.